Hello and welcome back to the Semi-Informed Football Podcast. Mark, back on the show. Mark's here. Mateo not able to make it tonight, but we had a little bit of software issues to start off this one. I don't think we were gonna. It didn't look like we were gonna actually record this one, but hey, you know what? We powered through it. We found a different way, and we're here recording this episode.
We had to because tomorrow is the second leg of the Champions League.
Yeah. So today's Monday, and this is perfect actual timing because we had a pretty good weekend of games. You know, I think we're going to do a little bit of focus on the Premier League, but also a few games on Monday too. So, you know, just across European leagues and everything like that. But what we're going to do today is we're going to focus a little bit on just some high impact games that are happening in the Prem. Then we're going to go into a really, really great sort of lead in to the great two Champions League games that are happening this week. So let's actually just start off with that. And, you know, before we even get into anything, are you stressed or excited about this time in the season?
Oh, listen. For me, with Liverpool being out of contention for any hardware, less stress, no stress, really. You just get to enjoy, Marco. I just get to enjoy the rest of football, the rest of the storylines. There's so many storylines. Depending on results, storylines can go many different ways. And, you know, that's what we live for. That's why we podcast, because we just enjoy it so much. We love it.
All right. Well, let's start off with that storyline. So we're going to spend the beginning chunk of this, actually, we're going to talk about the Premier League, right? Arsenal, who looked like they actually handed it over to Man City a few weeks back when they actually lost to Man City. They had a win today. They had a win this weekend. Sorry about that. And all of a sudden, does it look like they're in a control position of winning the league title?
So, as you said, this is Monday night. And Arsenal, this is a bit weird in the EPL, but Arsenal played a game on the weekend to put them 2 games up in City. Many people aren't a fan of that, especially in a title race. Why one team is playing more games in advance of another, and then the other team gets scrambled. Doesn't make sense also because City's not in Champions League, but maybe because they're in the FA Cup. I don't know. Okay, but today we had the Man City Everton game, and it looked like it was going to be a 3-2 Everton win. City came back and tied late, but it's still a tie. It's still a draw. They lost 2 points, essentially.
Yeah, no, I remember reading, they said that if anything out there, because this game on the agenda, the City-Everton game, was probably going to give City the biggest problems. And again, they did, you know, they came out early and it looked like, you know, they might actually take the full 3 points. So City reclaimed it. They ended up getting a sole point out of this, but really, really hurt themselves in this chase to chase down Arsenal. Now, they do have a game in hand. However, if Arsenal wins, I think their last, this one puts it out of reach. So I think there's a 5-point differential at this point, Mark. So even if they end up taking 6 points out of this and Arsenal gets another 3, that puts Arsenal in the clear. Is my math right there? Or
I mean, it's so tight. They did really bottle these points here. I mean, now I think it's safe to say it's their title. They bottle this somehow, Marco. If they bottle this somehow, you know, I would fire Arteta on the pitch.
Yeah, I think it's beyond that. I think it's in their hands, to tell you the truth. But if they end up losing this one, you're right. You have to question the leadership there.
Yeah, it would be absolutely insane, absolutely unreal,
right,
if Arsenal lose it now.
Okay.
Still within the realm of possibility.
Okay, perfect. Okay, you know what? Let's kind of move on from this because I know this is really, really interesting. And I think this has made the last few weeks of the Premier League a lot more exciting than most other times. Like last time I remember was when City won the league over Liverpool on the last day game of the season. I think it was from a brace from Gundogan, right? So that was very, very interesting. But let's kind of move on to the next game. You did mention at the kickoff of the show, Liverpool and Manchester United. So Manchester United actually solidified Europe. So look, they're in third place right now in the Prem, but they've put enough points that looks like they're getting that European spot, which is great because they had an up and down year. Ruben Amorim, who knows what was happening with this team, but you know what? Under Michael Carrick, they've actually kind of solidified this. Got past Liverpool again. Liverpool also has a European berth for next year, and the Prem having 5 spots. Also, Aston Villa, even though dropping points on the weekend, is in that last spot with Bournemouth really, really close behind them.
Well, I mean, Liverpool lost to Man United on the weekend.
Yeah.
Not much to talk about in that game. They both had a good half and both teams had a bad half. Okay. But it's amazing for all the headlines and negative press that Liverpool has gotten all season. They're in fourth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? They're in fourth. And really, Aston Villa did us a ton of favor by losing to Spurs, right? So yeah, Liverpool still has a believe it's a 6-point cushion on Bournemouth. They're ahead of Aston Villa on probably goal differential.
Right.
Oh, Liverpool's chances of making Europe lie within 3 games. I think with one more win, I think that's pretty much locked them in, right?
Yeah. 100%. Now, let's actually take a look at. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but this is kind of like the wheels totally flying off. Chelsea, sixth loss in a row. Like, what is happening here? Like, this is a colossal defeat that, like, I guess, disaster that we haven't seen from Chelsea in quite a bit.
I mean, losing to Nottingham Forest, who are also, trying to stave off relegation, doing a good job of it. It all lies with the ownership who disturbed things, didn't accept Maresca's philosophy, got rid of him, and nothing has gone well since they got rid of Maresca. Simple as that. I think what you need to question now is how many players will now seek an exodus from Chelsea come summertime?
Right.
They
And
could lose 1, 2, or no. I think there's a strong chance Enzo leaves.
yeah, no, I've heard that rumor as well. I think it's been a funny love-hate relationship with Garnacho. I don't know the amount of jest that we're getting on there, but like, yeah, that's the point, right? Like, does anybody else believe in this club anymore? So let's move on from Chelsea. I love what Palace and Forest did. They're kind of moving their way away from the relegation space. Usually clubs that I always expected to be mid-table clubs find themselves at the bottom of the league. But Tottenham did themselves some favors. So Spurs did themselves by favor by actually winning and actually taking a point out of relegation. So they're 1 full point on West Ham, who is in relegation territory. So interesting story. Let's see how this one finishes out. What do you think here?
West Ham sort of disappointed me. I thought they were on a run of some good games. They had some strength. I mean, they're up against a Brentford side that's been good all year. Didn't expect them to get shut out, but it was 3-0. Was expecting at least a tie from West Ham, kind of pulling for the win. But the other thing was Spurs. I didn't think they'd be able to eke it out against Villa. I don't know. Something happens to Unai Emery's teams when they're leading late in the season. Like they're doing well late in the season, they seem to collapse too, right?
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, so let's leave the Prem and we're actually going to go take a look at the Champions League game this season. So, let's talk about the big one that everybody's really kind of looking forward. This is PSG and Bayern. I found it very telling on the weekend. I was watching both games, but PSG takes on Lorient, however you want to pronounce it. I think it's Lorient. And Bayern takes on Heidenheim. Both were draws. So I think PSG had, they played a lot of backup players and everything. So just to really kind of eke out that draw. Bayern maybe playing a little bit more starters and such, and actually only getting the draw in the 11th minute of stoppage time for Michael Olise. So again, not big games for them because they both comfortably have the league. I think Bayern has. Statistically, you can't catch them. And yeah, PSG at this point as well. They're 9 points up a loss, which is very, very interesting. But again, the big game for them on the agenda is the Champions League tie. So it's in Germany. Basically, that last game, which was barn burner last week, 5-4. So it's basically on aggregate, it's a 1-0 lead for PSG going into Munich, playing Bayern. You know what? Honestly, this is honestly, we were talking about this. I think we were talking about this off the podcast. We were talking about the TV viewers for these Champions League games. Yeah. They're approaching, I think, like the hundreds and millions to watch these big Champions League games. Like, I think this is going to be one for the record books. Like, a non-final game. Like, this is unreal. Looking at this, and I don't know, I'm always somebody that's always pulling for Bayern, even though I have a deep, deep, deep respect for PSG that's been built over the last 3 years or so, just kind of watching this team, watching minusing Mbappe and still having a solid team. But I feel like just watching PSG on the weekend, watching Bayern on the weekend, I feel like PSG has a deeper squad. So they have a lot more backup options. They have a lot more solid of a squad versus Bayern. Figure if they're missing one of the spots or so. Again, one of the wingers goes by, whether it's a Luis Diaz or an Olise, and that's a big hole. I feel like PSG with a missing player, they plug that hole a lot faster than Bayern. I'm looking at this game. I don't expect it to be a 5-4 match. I think it's going to be a little bit shorter of a game. But again, understanding that PSG already has a goal in hand, basically. So a draw in this game would mean PSG is going further. I don't know. I don't like Bayern's chances with this, even if it is at home. Just taking a look at, like, yeah, I know they have all the power in the world, but I just do think PSG has an overall solid team. But, and I've said this off air before with the podcast, is that I really love this battle in the past few years going forward. Like, I think this is going to be a rivalry that's going to last years and years and years. So the last one we had was the COVID shortened. I think it was the 2020, was it? 2020 final, where Bayern beat PSG. So again, some, emotions on that one itself. So again, this is just like, well, not in a final, but a rematch of this kind of battle of heavyweights. And I think both of them are probably two of the strongest teams in club football right now. But I don't know. And I'm rambling a lot about this. Just saying, how do you think this is going to play out? And who do you like in this one?
This is where it gets really fun, Marco. I agree with what you just said. That's what I said on the podcast last week. Said that PSG, I just feel like they have more depth at every position. You're saying, you go down a man, you could plug that hole with a guy of almost a similar caliber, really. Bayern don't have that option. If Luis Diaz goes down, who are you going to put in that's going to do what he does?
Right.
Who's going to replace Olise? And I think that's PSG's biggest strength is their depth. I also think they're better defensively. I know that's hard to say after a 5-4 win. When Mateo and I predicted a 2-2 draw, I thought that was already high scoring enough. I just thought they had the firepower for 4 goals. I don't know if anyone was expecting a 5-4, 9. What am I looking forward to in this game? So part of me was going to say, well, it's the second leg. PSG is going to want to sort of nurse that 1-goal lead. And maybe both teams are going to be a little bit hesitant to press and because they don't want to get caught. But after what we've seen in the first game, I do expect the same sort of electric go type of game. I don't think it'll be 5-4.
Yeah.
Could it be 4-3?
Yeah. No, who knows? Like, I don't think anybody
let
predicted
you
a 5-4 game.
Yeah, I'm going to let you start with a prediction, a goal
With
prediction. A goal prediction, and then who goes through.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I take a look at that. This is going to be a weird one. This is going to be a chicken. I don't know. I was chicken out on these predictions. I say PSG 1-0 victory. I don't know. That's for me, and that means that they go over with a two goal aggregate, right? So they go forward. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I just don't think can be low scoring with all the potent players on the field for both teams.
Right.
I figure there's going to have to be some goals scored. Goalkeeping is also an issue. I still think it's going to be a bit high scoring, but I think I'm going to say 3-2 PSG.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? Again, those predictions are what they are. We don't typically get into this, but who would you kind of put as sort of your man of the match? Like, and pick one from each team. Like, who do you think would kind of earn that?
Well, I'm not going to stray for what I've been saying all season. If Bayern wins, for me, it's Michael Olise. That's the man of the match. The PSG side, so many weapons, so many people to choose from. I'm going to stick with Rich Scalia. He's pick.
You know what? You took the words right out of my mouth. Like, I recently saw a clip on social media where Kvaratskhelia was taking on Kylian Mbappe, and he just put it through his legs, and it's just like, this guy lived and breathed the game of football. I think when he was kind of coming up in Russia, and like, he didn't have that support system, that friends and everything like that. It was just like every day in and out, just training at the pitch. Like, I do think, he would be my man of the match. But you know what? Honestly, for Bayern, I wonder if Kane's going to be a difference maker. Like, sometimes, like, he pulls these goals out of nowhere. So as much as I do love Olise, like, I think, saying Olise is not going to be a factor would probably be quite stupid, right? But I don't know. I'm going to go with Kane. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm really, really looking forward to this game. And I'm really, really interested to see what the final TV numbers are going to be for this, because I think it's going to be an all-time best, at least for a non-final game. So that one's there.
I think so. Even the 9-goal thriller from last week, if people weren't watching, I think people are going to be tuned in this time around.
Yeah. You know what? It seems like after the fact. So we talked about the big game, but what about the other game? What about Arsenal and Atleti? Like, is this an after effect? Like, if one of those teams end up winning the Champions League, would you be upset? Like after this amazing PSG Bayern, I think everybody's kind of echoing the exact same thing.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good way to put it. I think people would be fuming. I mean, if Atleti or Arsenal win Champions League, better be because of a quality match
Yeah,
against Bayern or PSG. Because you know what? They'd have my respect and kudos to them if they won by playing some beautiful football and out dueling the other team. If they win because of some parking the bus,
tug of war type. Yeah,
yeah, corner FC, set piece FC that hits someone in the back and bounces in, yeah, I'd be upset.
yeah, that would be frustrating. But anyway, I don't know who do you see kind of coming out of this matchup? Like again, it's a 1-1 draw going in. This one is in London. Arsenal does have the home field advantage, but who do you see coming out of this matchup tomorrow? Tomorrow, yeah,
Well, home field advantage, I don't know because they seem to give up quite a few goals at home.
yeah. Is it really advantage?
I think Arsenal has the better squad, the better players, the better quality. I just think that Simeone is the better coach and he's the better mental tactician here. And if he can really get into the minds of his players, I still think Atleti can pull this off. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, every time I kind of predict this, none of my predictions have ever come to fruition. But again, I'd love to see this come to pens. But right at the end, like it's a draw, maybe it's a 0-0 draw going in, or maybe it's 1-1 draw again going to the final, and it has to be kind of solved through extra time and pens, right? So that'd be interesting.
It very well could go to pens the way these
Yeah.
two play, right?
Okay. Awesome. So
We
cool.
need
You know
some,
what?
Marco, we need some predictions. What's the score in this game?
Yeah, no, I say 0-0 and it goes to pens, right? It's just that I just feel like it's going to be, you know what, you talked about bottle FC. This is going to be boring FC right here.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna give a outrageous score for these two teams because they're both boring as hell. But I'm gonna go with 3-2 Atleti.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what I said? I said 0-0 going to pens, but I call Arsenal to come out of it just to kind of go against what you were saying right now. But I think when it comes down to it, like to me, it's a coin toss, and I think Arsenal wins it. So
Just think that if Atleti score, Arsenal will score. So
yeah.
yeah.
They match it. Well, watch that one be a 5-4 game. Anyways, with that said, I think we got a really, really good episode. We talked about some very interesting things in the Prem, the Champions League that everybody's really, really excited for. Like, I think even casual fans are like, oh, you know what? Tell me a little bit about this. And I've had people at work kind of say, hey, tell me what's happening in Champions League. And I can't stop. I'm like, oh, let me tell you, and I'll jump right into it. But with that said, let's kind of wrap things up. And I want to thank everybody out there for listening in. I feel like we've gotten a lot of great traction lately. You've enjoyed our banter, enjoyed our back and forth on this great game of football. So thank you so much. Like I said, it's like follow us on Spotify, follow us on Apple, also on YouTube as well. Those are the 3 platforms we're really doing the best on. So again, follow us all on those. And no, thank you so much for telling us. And you know what? Honestly, tell a friend. You know, big stuff there. So great stuff. We're going to have some great games, but we'll meet again next week. So until then, we're keeping you
Me informed.